FTP enumeration. The default port for the FTP is 21. FTP is a good service to find sensitive information against your target. It can be hard-coded credential, it can be internal service information, software information, and so on. When you have a privileged access to write into it, it can be chained with other bugs or vulnerabilities in order to gain the maximum impact, or an RCE, which we will going to focus in the later on modules. But for now, as I said, this module is completely focused on understanding various tools. So let's first discuss our main and initial vulnerability that is very common for the FTP. It's not the vulnerability, it's a feature, I would say. FTP Null Session. The null session basically tells that we do not require any authentication information, or using just anonymous as a username and anonymous as a password, we will be able to log in to the FTP service. In order to validate whether the null session is enabled for the target server or not, we have a different tools, and this is the tool oriented sessions. Let's discuss our first tool, which is the default FTP client. In order to connect to your destination or the target FTP service, we can just simply type FTP target and the port number if you have. The 21 is default and it does not really require to be written, so I'm gonna ignore. I can either write it or I can ignore too. Here, it successfully managed to connect to the destination server. The banner tells that it's a Pro FTPD with the specific version. The anonymous as a username and anonymous as a password is something we can try to log in and validate the FTP null session. Let's dig a few commands here. ls will going to list all the available files in your destination server, and it tells that there are some PDF available. We can download those PDFs and enumerate further in order to find some sensitive information. The FTP service is intended to share some web service files, backup files, and searches. So you might get a similar things. Let's dig further with the other tools. The next tool here is not a tool but our web browser. However, upon Firefox 19, the FTP support has been disabled. If you still need to dig in, you can check the notes or GitHub which I have shared along with it. Just go through this URL which I will gonna pin within my note, and it will be easy to understand. However, let's go with the older version. So here, in order to connect to FTP, we no need to write anonymous username, anonymous password, because our browsers are smart and it automatically adds the default or anonymous credential for the same. By just accessing a URL FTP:// whatever the target IP address it has, you can access the same. That is it for our browser. Let's take our third and the last tool in order to find or validate our FTP null session, which is FileZilla. FileZilla has a server and client both, and sometimes it is better to use. The reason it has easy to drag and drop functionality, which can be helpful for transferring large files and transferring files or synchronizing file as parallel. To connect to your FileZilla, you can download and install FileZilla by just typing apt install FileZilla, as simple as that, and you need host, username, and the password. Of course, as we are testing null session, it will be anonymous as a username, anonymous as a password. FileZilla sometimes helps to work around our target, weird target server. So sometimes the target is FTP, but you are not able to connect through FTP default FTP client or such. Then the FileZilla is your time saver. So by just connecting or quick connecting, I will able to access our target. Here it validates whether this support whether it supports TLS or not, and it said it doesn't. So are you sure you want to connect? I say yeah, it's fine. It's my own server, of course. And here we go. We have a nice GUI looking feature. So we can just drag and drop in order to download a file, just like this, and it should be reflect in a minute. And here we go. The file was somewhere 5 MB, but yeah, it did manage to do it with the no time. So FileZilla server really time saver for doing various things, and you no need to manually write the commands, and you can just use right click and graphical user interface. That is it for the null session. Let's take our another vulnerability on the go. Insecure ACL or access control list. When you have read and write both permission against your FTP server, then you can do the further things. You can upload your Trojan, malware, and so on that can be later on executed through the different vulnerabilities. So this is good point to chain it with the other vulnerabilities such as LFI and so on. We will be focusing on exploitation in the later on series. However, this is more tool oriented sessions. Let's see how FTP will going to help you in order to upload your Trojan or a file. But for that, we're going to write a file with please subscribe. The file name is do it, which I will upload through FileZilla as well as the FTP client. Let's start with the FTP client. Anonymous as a username, anonymous as a password, and we are done. Right now, no such a file with the name do it. To upload our files or a Trojan or malware, you can use put. Put is a command that allows you to put a single file, and there is another command with the name with this mput. Mput is mass put, so you can put multiple files as well. I'll go with the put just for now, and let's upload our do it file. Here we go. It successfully uploaded my file, and the do it is shown over there. We can also delete the uploaded file by just typing del and the file name. Here we go. Our file is successfully removed. Similarly, we can use our FileZilla client in order to upload and download the things. But it will be much easier. We can just drag and drop. As simple as that. The another way will be like right click and upload. You can do other actions as well. Just navigate to the tool manual, and as simple as that. That's it for file upload. See you in the next. Dictionary attack. FTP is a good option or a service to validate your credentials. When you have a username or a password, you can do further enumeration with the dictionary based attack. In order to perform a dictionary based attack or a rainbow table attack against your FTP service, the best and a good or a faster one is the Hydra. Hydra is pretty simple to use, which allows you with the various options. The hyphen capital L tells that please provide or please use the specified word list. The username list has multiple users with the right user for our FTP service. Similar, this is our password list, and we can supply with hyphen capital P. Hyphen small p will going to tell Hydra that use this specific password. So instead using as a file, it will going to consider as a specific password. So let's change it to capital P. The last, we have to specify our protocol, which is FTP, file transfer protocol, with our target IP address. Let's hit enter and see Hydra in action. The attack will going to take some time as FTP is not that stable enough. At least the one which we have set it up for our lab environment. And here we go. The specific credential work with the username B and a password bug. We will take further examples against our Hydra. That is it for the FTP enumeration. We'll take it further with other services. See you and please subscribe.